Hello, everyone, and welcome to these 11 a.m. talks with Angel Charmaine, also known as Natty Knowledge. I thank you all for joining me today in the space. We are going to have a week-long conversation about something that I think is it's a topic that many of us are dealing with right now. It's a topic that I have been been living in for many years. I am an expert at what we're going to talk about today, and so I invite you to come on in and to stick around. If you saw the title of this particular conversation, you see that we are going to be talking about breaking the fear of starting over. Breaking the fear of starting over. So many of us are accustomed to being on jobs that we've been on for years and years and years. There was a time when you got hired onto a company and you stayed there until you retired. There were pensions and 401s and all sorts of things. But in this new era, right, that's not the norm. It is not. And now, with the different things that are going on with our government and with society, people who have federal employment, they thought they would be there forever and ever. And now it's just not the case. It's not as stable and as comfy and as cushy and as consistent as it used to be. And so it's important that we begin to look at our options and realize that you're probably at some point going to need to start over. And starting over is difficult. Starting over, I'm not going to tell you that it's an easy thing. I'm not going to tell you that it's just going to be sweatless and smooth sailing. It's going to be tough for some people, but I want you to know that it is very possible. And just like we know that God is not giving us the spirit of fear, right? But of love, power, and a solid mind, right? Then we know that we don't have to be afraid of the starting over. When you know who your source is, what your source is, then you're okay when the way he chooses to provide for you shifts and it changes. So, just to give some context for you all, I am 47 years amazing. I'll be 48 this year in June. And I have changed careers several times in my lifetime. And what I do currently is the newest switch, but I've been in this role for the last 6.5 years. I am a former international educator. I went to school to be a school teacher. Back in my day, being a teacher was one of those careers that you just knew, like, if you're a teacher, you got a job. You don't have to worry about it. It provides job security and all the things. You're going to have all the benefits and all the things. You don't get paid a lot, but you've got something that's secure and stable, right? Thank you so much, Ashana, for your daily heart me. I appreciate you. Um, and so I went to school to be a teacher, and that's what I did. I was teaching by the time I was 22, had my first classroom at 23, and I was a teacher all the way up through about 40 years old. I taught internationally, or I trained teachers internationally. I also worked for Department of Defense education activities. So I worked on military bases and I taught the military child. I also taught in regular local school systems in Georgia as well as in South Carolina. So when I tell you, I had a bona fide career path. I didn't have a job. I had a career. And then I switched. I changed that up. Let me see. In 2014, I was like, you know what? The classroom, things are changing. I saw the changes coming. I saw them. And I was like, this isn't, I'm not going with this. The bureaucracy of education, I'm just not going to do it. And so I became an Army Wounded Warriors advocate. Thank you so much, Harold Best Thoughts, for your daily heart me. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. So I began to work for a government contractor for Department of Defense as an Army Wounded Warriors advocate. And I did that through 2018. And in 2018, I had what I like to call an experience with the Spirit of God, the Holy Spirit. And that led me off of traditional employment, and I became a full time entrepreneur. I became a full time entrepreneur in 2018, July of 2018. And that is where I have been for the last 6.5 years. So when I tell you, I totally understand starting over. I get it. I've been there. I've done that. And I want to help you all to break free from the fear of starting over, because many of you are going to end up having to start over, especially in this new culture and climate that we are living in. Hey, Taishika, I see you watching on FB. Thank you so much, sis. I appreciate you. If you are tapping in on FB, please tag some other women into this conversation, especially if they're millennials, if they're Gen Xers, if they are boomers, even. They may, find some value in this conversation. Thank you so much for the roses, Ashana. I really appreciate you, sis. Thank you. If you are watching this on FB, then I ask you to please share this out. It's really good information that we're going to talk about today, and I know it will be helpful to some people. So let's go ahead and jump into this. Let me pull up my notes here. So all week long, we're going to be talking about the courage to start over, y'all. The courage to start over. And the conversation that we're going to have today is breaking the fear of starting over. So I want you to tune in Monday through Friday of this week at 11 a.m. ish. I'm usually here by 11:15, between 11 and 11:15. And we're going to be talking about the courage to start over. All right. So let's get into this. Let's get into it. I want to ask you a question before we start. And for those of you who are new to this space, I have conversations with you, and I'm asking that you talk to me. Make sure you're commenting, make sure you're stimulating the chat, right? So that I know that you're rocking with me. So I want to ask you some questions. Feel free to respond. Have you ever felt like you were too old or too late? And then I got the ding ding when I said that. Ashana, thank you so much for helping me to reach my goal. We're 50% of our goal on TT, so I appreciate you, sis. Thank you. So have you ever felt like you are too old or too late or too behind to begin again? Anybody currently watching right now ever felt that way? Anybody ever felt that way? Maybe you are sitting in a job that you really abhor, like you can't stand it. Ashana says me. Okay. I know I have felt that way before. Like, I am way too old to be doing something new. Just think about that, y'all. I started teaching. I went to school, I went to college straight out of high school. So when I graduated high school in 1995, I graduated in June. I graduated a few days before my birthday. So I graduated high school at 17. And then I turned 18. And then in August of that same year, 95, I went all to college. All right. So I started learning to become a teacher straight out of high school. And then I graduated from college in 2000, and I started my career as a teacher. And I did that all the way. So I want you to think about that. I started learning in 1995, and I was a school teacher and training teachers all the way up through, I'm going to say 2017, because although I came out of uh, secondary education in 2014, I started teaching as an adjunct at the collegiate level in 2017. So I want you to think about that. from 1995 to 2017, all I did was teach or teach people how to teach. That's what I did. And so I want you to think about that. We're talking from 18 years old all the way to 40 years old. Get that, 18 to 40. And then all of a sudden, you're just going to switch up and you're not going to do that anymore. When I tell you, I know exactly what it feels like to feel like you're too old. Like, girl, you need to stick and stay where you are. I know what it feels like to think you're behind the eight ball. You decided to switch up too late in life, right? Sometimes we sit in jobs that we just hate for years and years and years. Harold says, I used to feel that way. I'm telling you, it's a hard feeling to have. It's scary to make a career shift. It's scary, right? Maybe you were in a relationship and you've been in it forever. You've been with this person for 10 years, 15 years, never married. Y'all just together. Is not producing nothing really. You're not happy in the situation, right? But you're just there. But you're like, I don't want to start over. How many people are in relationships, right? Because they have history in the relationship. They don't want to let go because they got history. And what I want to talk about this week is finding the courage to start over. I need you to put in the chat, drop in the chat, new beginnings, because that is what you deserve. That is what God wants for you. He does not want us in these dead end situations where we are unhappy, where we're not thriving, where our souls are not prospering, we're not abundant in our thinking and our hearts, nothing, right? Scripture even says God wants to do a new thing. Can you not see it? So I want you to put new beginnings in the chat because that's what you deserve. That is what you're going to get as soon as you get to a place where you can overcome the fear of starting over. You can get the courage to start over. All right. So let's start here. Why do we fear starting over? We're going to start there. If you are watching, if you're paying attention to this, let's talk about it. Why do we fear starting over? Do you have any ideas? Tell me why you personally fear starting over, or at some point in your life, why did you fear starting over? Harold says change is just scary. And it is. It is. But tell me what is scary about the change. Like when we say that something is scary, we're saying it causes us dread, it causes some type of trepidation, right? There's this feeling of, right, it's going to destroy us. When we say that something is scary, is usually we're feeling like it's going to cause some type of harm to us, right? So what about change do you think causes dread or makes you feel like it's going to bring some type of harm? And she says learning a new way to do things. Yeah, it can be scary, but what is scary about that? Like, what's scary about having to learn a new way to do things? What makes you feel like, this is gonna hurt? Because when I say I'm scared of, let's say I say I'm scared of snakes. I'm not just scared of snakes because they're snakes. When I say I'm scared, it's because there's a fear that this thing is gonna hurt me. there's a fear that if I touch it, it's going to bite me, right? There's a fear that there's something adverse that's going to take place if I'm around it. It causes that. So my question is, what, why do you feel like doing something new is going to hurt you? Where do you think you got that from? I know this is the hard stuff. We get so accustomed to staying on the surface level, right? And it's like, oh, it's scary. Yeah, it's scary. But I want us to think a little deeper. I want us to go just a little beyond the surface. I want you to think about what it means to be scared. What does it mean to be afraid? Hey, Ladidra, how you doing? Thank you so much for dropping that purple heart. Oh, I see. It's Monday and it's raining. They slow today, mom. They slow today. Oh goodness. Yeah, I'm asking y'all to think too deeply on a Monday. On a Monday morning. I need y'all to wake up. Come on, let's get it. Let me help you out just a little bit. Let me help jog your juices, your thinking juices a little bit, right? Many of us have really been conditioned to believe that change means that we failed something. I want you to think about that. So if I say, you know what, I'm not gonna teach anymore. I've been teaching, I've been going to school and learning how to be a teacher and teaching since I was 18, and now all of a sudden at 40, I'm not gonna teach anymore. There's a fear that rises up that people will think I failed at teaching, or even personally, right? Does change mean that I failed at what I was doing? Nobody wants to feel like they're a failure. Nobody wants other people to think that they have failed. So sometimes the idea that change, because I'm changing from something that has been long term, somehow the idea of me being a failure gets attached to that, which causes fear, because fear of failure is a real thing, right? But the truth is that growth requires change. If you are not changing, you are not growing, you are stagnant. Just like in your natural body. If your natural body, if you're not getting, if you don't get taller, if you are not if your body's not growing all the things that it does in puberty, if your body's not changing, that means that something's wrong, right? Change is important. It is necessary for growth, and healthy people grow, not just in your physical body, but in your mind, in your heart, in your soul. We grow, even spiritually, we grow. But oftentimes, many of us have been trained to think that changing, doing something that you've been doing means that you must be a failure at that thing. I know we've all heard people say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Right? If you've been working that job for 20 years and it ain't broke, don't fix it. Stay where you are. So if you decide to leave that job, then clearly something's broken. And most of us internalize that as we're broken. And it's not the truth. This week, we're going to be talking about breaking the fear of starting over. Because let's just face it, those of you who have been in those federal jobs forever and ever and ever, baby, them jobs are not secure anymore. Can I just call a spade a spade? When you look at what's happening in the world, when you look at what's happening with our government, when you look at all the things, I was just talking to a good friend of mine yesterday, and she works in the government, in the federal sector, and she was saying, like, there are a lot of things being cut. Travels being cut, conferences and things be like, there are lots of things that are being cut. people on probationary status. They not sure that they're gonna make it through. For those of you who are familiar with federal employment, in the private sector, 90 days is typical for probation. You got 90 days. When you finish your 90 days, typically you have your little evaluation. If you good to go after 90 days. You got 3 months. But when you are a federal employee, it used to be a year, but now it's 2 years of probation. So just think about those people who just got into their jobs. They haven't even been working federally for 2 years. Now, listen, what used to be a sure fit, like you in, just do your job, you good, you're gonna be there, you get out of probation, it take forever to get. No, that is ending. It is ending, and it is ending rapidly. And so there are some of you who felt like you were in this very stable and secure work environment in this job, and things are being uprooted. And today and all week, I'm going to be showing up here to have conversations about breaking from the fear of starting over. You got to have the courage to start over. Society tells us that by a certain age, right, you should have it all figured out. I want to know who wrote that truth. Who wrote down that truth that by 35 you should be all together. By the time you 60, you should have all your money in the bank. You should have your retirement laid out. You should not have to do. You should. I don't know who told us that, who wrote that rule and told us that that was the law, right? Because life is full of pivots. Life is filled with ups and downs and shifts and new opportunities. And so you got to be able to see the shift and have the courage to make the shift when it is time to do so. All right? So now let's talk about the lies that keep us stuck, because some of us are afraid because of some lies. So let me just say this, y'all. Before I went overseas to train teachers, I was so afraid of going away. Right? There was this fear of getting lost, or you don't know what you're doing, right? You never done that before. You don't know what you're doing. You need to know how to do this, and that before you. Sometimes we live in this world and we heard people say, and sometimes it's not even that people said it directly to you. You just overheard it, right? That's why it's important for you to guard your ears and not listen to everything. But I don't know why, I just thought that because I didn't know how to like read maps and and because I didn't know the language or whatever, that somehow I was going to get lost, and then I was going to be stuck somewhere and nobody's going to be able to find me, and somehow I was just going to be destroyed. Because listen, lies. I don't know where I picked all that stuff up from, but those things were not the truth. I was able to leave my home country, go to another country where I was not fluent in the language. I did not know how to read the longitude and latitude on maps or any of those things, but I survived. Hey, Daphne, how you doing, sis? Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for joining me today. Hello, your AZ Rello plug, Pamela Scott. Okay, that's a whole long name. Good morning. Thank you for joining us from Arizona. You said this is your favorite subject to discuss. As a real estate agent, I know you deal with people all the time who are transitioning from one city to the next or one state to the next. They're looking for new houses. They're looking for new areas to live. And people are just afraid, especially if they've been in their home like this. They thought they were going to stay in this home, retire in this home, and then things change and they got to move, right? So I know you are definitely accustomed to working with people who are afraid to start over. They've been in this home for 20 years and now they're having to, maybe they're empty nesters, right? And they had this big home with all these rooms and all this stuff, and now the kids are gone. Maybe a spouse has passed away, or maybe they're no longer married or something, and now they got to downsize and they got to maybe go into a smaller home, or maybe it's time for them to get into a townhouse or maybe even an apartment, right? But people are so, it's like, what am I going to do? This has been my life. So I'm sure as a real estate agent, I'm sure you are dealing with people who struggle with change in that way. And today we're just starting the conversation. We're going to be talking about this all week, right? We're going to talk about this all week. Have you all heard the story of Colonel Sanders? Colonel Sanders is the Kentucky Fried Chicken man. He was 65 years old when he started KFC. I want y'all to sit with that for a minute. Can you imagine being 65 years old, deciding that you're going to start this new business, right? 65. Now, look, you can't go anywhere in the world and not know what a KFC is, not know what a Kentucky Fried Chicken is. So people may not know that KFC stands for Kentucky Fried Chicken because now, the branding has changed. But when I was living in the UAE, there were KFCs in the malls, KFCs, right? You could go get KFC in Dubai. And the man started it at 65 years old. So the first lie that I want to debunk today is I'm too old to start over. It's a lie. Straight from the pits. You are never too old to start over. If you have life in your body, breath in your body, if you can think to do it. One thing that I know is if you can think to do a thing, then it is possible for you to do the thing. Your mind can only think of things that it has the capacity and the ability to do. Now, you may have to do some studying, you may have to meet some people, you have to make some you may have to do some things. But if your mind can think to do it, then you definitely have the capacity to make that thing come to pass. It may look different from what it looks like for other people, but you can totally make it happen for you with the capacity that you have. Age really is just a number when it comes to starting over. It is a lie. Today, we are talking about breaking the fear of starting over. And all week, we're going to be dealing with having the courage to start over. And the first thing that you need to understand is that there are lots of lies that we have heard throughout the years. Maybe people have spoken them to you. Maybe you have just heard them in passing and they just caused a fear in you. But one of those lies is that I'm too old to start over. Like I said, Colonel Sanders was 65 years old when he started KFC. Some of you are 30 years old talking about you too old. Some of you are 40 years old talking about you too old. Baby, this man was 65. Okay? Those of you who are 40, if you're into fashion, Vera Wang, right? I won't say everybody knows who Vera Wang is, but if you are into fashion and that industry, then you know who Vera Wang is. She is a celebrity stylist, fashion designer, not stylist, excuse me. She's a fashion designer. A lot of the women who are on the red carpet, they're wearing their Vera Wang dresses and things like that. Listen, she designed her very first dress at 40 years old. Do you hear me? Vera Wang designed her very first dress at 40 years old. It is a lie straight from the pits to tell you that you too old to start over. Understand? Oh, Harold Bass says my dear told us who she was. Now you now Harold Bass thoughts. Now you know I don't watch a lot of TV and stuff, so that reference is going straight over my head. Like you're gonna have to tag me in the movie, which my dear movie, because Deborah's like my dear told us who I guess who Vera Wang is, but I listen, way over my head. For those of you who don't know me personally, I don't watch a lot of television or movies and things like that nowadays. So the references they may go over my head. Hello, Bobby Goodwin. How you doing? Thank you so much for joining today. Thank you for joining today. So that's the first lie that I want you all to let go of. Okay. I want you to let go of I'm too old to start over. Tell me in the comments what is something that you wanted to do, right? But you kind of felt like it's too late. I'm too old to do that. Tell me something. It can be something small, it can be something big. But tell me something that you told yourself, I'm too old to do this. Uh, Larisha says, I filed a lawsuit against the New Jersey judiciary. Is that something you thought it was too late for you to be able to do? Um, you got to give us some context. You got to give us some context. Today, we're talking about breaking the fear of starting over. It took you 9 years. Oh, wow. Wow. So I'm going to say congratulations to you because that's a long time. 9 years, knowing that, okay, I deserve to be able to do this. I need to do this. I have a right to do this. And to finally get yourself to a place where you're like, you know what? I'm going to file this lawsuit. Absolutely. She says I was fired because of my lawsuits. Listen, I applaud you for after 9 years getting to a place where you will stand up and do what you believe is right for you. So congratulations to you. Congratulations. That's a big one. That's not a little one, y'all. That's a big one. Bobby says roller skating. Oh my gosh. There are lots of people. So I love roller skating, Bobby. And I have invited people to roller skate. They'd be like, girl, I'm too old. Girl, if I fall, I'm going to break something. Girl, I'm like, come on. Put some knee pads on. Get you some elbow pads, right? And get you some skates and get out there. Roller skating is so fun. You are never too old to roller skate. Okay. I see some elderly women and men at the skating rink, honey, and they be gliding, they moving. Do you know um most skating rinks have people who will give you uh what's the word I'm looking for? Teach you. They have classes. So you can actually take lessons to teach you how to roller skate even at your big age. So I encourage you to do the things. Do the things. Do not let this idea of I'm too old. Bobby says double dutch was one as well, but I did that last year. Yes. Congratulations, Bobby. I used to double dutch when I was younger as well. I'm sure if I got back into it, I probably could do a little something something. I probably got to practice though. But yes, double dutch, roller skating. These are all things that you can do. Don't let anybody tell you that you're too old to do them. And so just like you can learn to roller skate, you can learn to ride a bike, you can learn to double dutch, you can learn to drive a stick shift. I know how, but it is one of those scary things for me where I'm like, mm-mm. You understand? You can do it at any age. So I want you to remember that it is a lie. The first lie, and one of the largest lies that we tell ourselves to remain stuck, is that we are too old. All right. So let's take a look. The second lie that I want to dispel today, right? What will people think? We listen, that is we tell ourselves, or we ask ourselves, what are people going to think? And the lie that we tell ourselves is people going to think I look crazy, right? People going to talk about me. People, right? It's always the question we're asking is, what are people going to think? And the lies that we tell ourselves, like based on that particular question, can run the gamut. You know, what people going to think if I wear this? What are people gonna think if they see me on skates at 55 years old? They gonna be talking about, girl, you too old, or you need to leave that to them little kids. What are people gonna think if I say that I'm gonna start a singing career at 60 years old? And what are people gonna think? People gonna think I done lost my mind. It's a lie. It's limited. Listen, it's one of those limiting beliefs where we question ourselves about what other folks gonna think. And what I want to say to you today is that you've got to have the courage to stand up against that. Oftentimes, you are actually going to be an inspiration to other people. Oftentimes, you're going to inspire other folks. You're going to empower other people to do things that they've been wanting to do as well. So it is stinking thinking for you to sit in a place going, oh, I know I need to change. I know I need to do something different. I really want to do this. I don't want to do this anymore. I really want to, but what are people going to think? They're going to think, listen, stop it. What are people going to think? People are going to think you're amazing. People are going to think that you are so strong. People are going to think that you are like some kind of super person, superwoman. So like, because folks are going to say, oh my gosh, I have always wanted to do that, but I never thought that I could. Understand. Don't allow that limiting belief that people are going to be thinking something reckless and crazy. And here's the thing, though. Let me say this, because I don't live in la la land. I don't live in la la land. The truth is that there may be some people who are going to look at you and go, what in the world? But you're going to have far more people who will be encouraged, who will be inspired, who will be empowered, who will be motivated. Far more people who will sit in that box than those who will sit over here. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what other people think about what it is that you are going to be doing. It is your life. You get to live it. You get to decide what you're going to do, who you're going to be, where you're going to go. Scripture tells us constantly to be strong and courageous, right? To go against the grain of what everybody else is doing or thinking, or what they might. Forget all of that. It's a lie straight from the pits to keep you stuck and stagnant. This week, we're talking about breaking the fear of starting over. We're going to be talking about having the courage to start over, to reinvent yourself. I remember when I first started my lock journey. I've been growing freedom. She now hangs down past my bottom, right? When I first started growing my locks, I had a tapered cut. Hair was shaved on the side, shaved in the back, had a little hair on the top. And I worked federally at the time, and I was working at the VA in Vancouver, Washington. And I had this, very professional look, polished, put together. I went into my office every day, blazers, slacks, the whole thing. And I remember when I was like, I'm going to change my hair. I'm going to grow these locks. And I knew that I wanted to freeform them or semi-freeform them. So I knew they would kind of, to other people, my hair would look unkempt. Um, and so I was a little afraid because I was like, people are gonna think I lost my mind. Folks are gonna think that I'm not professional. People are gonna treat me differently because they're gonna see me in some kind of, um, like and you all know, especially those of you who are women of color who wear your natural hair, sometimes there's this feeling that you won't be taken seriously, that people are going to judge you based on your hair, and they're not going to think you're professional. And if people think that you're not professional, then they think that you're not competent. And if people don't think that you're competent, then they don't trust that you can get the job. They're like, all of these things will run through your head when you want to do something as simple as start over with your hair or the way that you look or the way that you want to present in the world. So I decided I wanted to get rid of the hairstyle that I was used to wearing, and I wanted to change and to start this lock journey. And so now, July 10th of 2025 will be 8 years that I have been on this journey. But if I had listened to the what will people think, what will people think of me, how what are people going to think, that I'm incompetent? Are they going to think that I'm some type of militant? Are they going to think that I can't get the job done? Are they going to think that I'm unprofessional? If I would have sat in that place, like, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be here today. And today there are people of all races and ages, even nationalities, who meet me and are like, my goodness, your hair is beautiful. Like, your whole everything is amazing. If I would have sat in that place of thinking, I can't start fresh with my hair, I can't do something new with my hair. If I would have sat in this place of listening to the lie of what are people going to think, they're going to think all these negative things about me, I would not have this full head of beautiful hair. It would have never happened. And since I have been locked, I have met so many people. I've met people on this journey who said the reason that I stopped to even listen to you is because of your hair. There are people who wouldn't normally listen to me when I looked another way, who can stop now and say, you know what? It was just something about the way that you look, the fact that you have those locks, and the fact that they're free formed and whatever, and I was just drawn to you. Just think of the people I've been able to impact simply because I made a decision that I was going to change something about myself and start over fresh, to do something that at the time and the space and time that I was in, with the type of career that I had, just didn't seem like the smartest decision to make. But it absolutely was. Absolutely was. Hello, Janice. How are you doing? Thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate you for stopping in. Right now, we're talking about breaking the fear of starting over. That's what we're talking about right now, because the world is changing. And all week, we're going to be talking about having the courage to reinvent yourself and to start over. And so, right now, I am sharing three lies that keep us stuck and keep us from starting over. And the first lie is, I'm too old to start over. And so, Janice, you came in at the perfect time, sis, because I met you when you were 60. Well, I met you before, but we began our relationship when you were 65. I believe you were 65 years old when you came to the first Speak Up Sis experience. And I remember you were toiling with some things that you wanted to do, right? And now look at you. Now look at you. You're modeling, not well, you're modeling, right? You do high fashion couture modeling. You teach your fitness classes. You travel a lot. You and your husband, you all actually picked up and moved, right? You relocated from one city to another. You've done so much in the 6.5 years that I've actually gotten to know you. And you are, if you're not at 70, you're really close to it. I think hit 70, right? I can't remember right now the exact age you are, but you have done so much just in the 6 years. And when I met you, or when I started building a relationship with you, you were 65. You were 65 years old. So it is such a lie. You okay? She says I'm 70. I know I wasn't losing my mind. She's 70 years old, y'all. If you do not know Janice Destiny Zumba, if you do not know her, you need to find her wherever she is in her social media spaces. You need to connect with her because she is absolutely amazing. When I tell you, one, she looks fabulous. You're gonna look at her and be like, ain't no way in the world that woman's 70. Ain't no way in the world she's 70 years old. When you see her moving, when you see her doing, listen, she does carnival, she puts on the whole giddy up, and she be, listen, I am always in awe of her energy, of her spunk, of her vitality, and of the way that she is okay with reinventing herself as often as she needs to do it. I'm not telling you that it is an easy thing to do. I'm telling you that it is a doable thing. Hey, Danny, thank you so much, sis, for your daily heart me. I appreciate you. So if you're someone who feels like age is an issue for you, like I can't do it because of my age, I need you to connect with Janice Destiny Zumba so that you can see that I'm too old to start over is a whole lie straight from the pits. And you absolutely can start over. Okay. The second lie that we talked about is what will people think? People gonna think what they gonna think. That ain't got nothing to do with you. That has nothing to do with you. You can start over when you want to start over. If you want to resign from your career and be a full-time entrepreneur, baby, you can do it. It doesn't matter what people think. If you want to cut all your hair off and do the big chop, your hair been down your back and not, and you just feel like you just want to do something new and fresh and start over, baby. You want to do the big chop and cut it off. Who cares what people think? It's a lie. It's a trick. It's a limiting belief that will keep you stuck and keep you from starting over. There are some of you who have been in a certain career all of your life, right? And now you're like, oh gosh, I just want to do, I've always wanted to, be a musician. I'm so good with instruments and I can play the piano and I can play the drums and I really want to pursue a career that has something to do with music. Although I've been in the tech industry, I've been working on computers, I really want, like, you can totally start over. And it doesn't matter, because some folks are going to be like, who stops who stops working in tech to pursue something in entertainment? Like, who does that? Like, why would you do that? Some of you are going to be stuck in what will people think about me. And I want to say to you that it's a lie. It's a lie. It's a faulty way of thinking. You have got to be able to move beyond that, right? You're the one who has to live your life, not them. Then he says, I agree. I no longer care what people think anymore. And you shouldn't. And thank you so much for the roses. I appreciate you. You have to live your life, not them, right? People will always have opinions, but they're not paying your bills. They're not living your purpose. They're not feeding you. They're not clothing you. They ain't laying up with you. They ain't taking, listen, baby. Whoop. Honey, they ain't got nothing. Who cares? Who cares? It's a lie. Danny says, I'm grown now. Absolutely. Absolutely. And so the third lie that I want to debunk today, right? I don't know where to start. That is such a cop out in this generation, in this era of all the information at your fingertips. I don't know where to start is a scapegoat. I'm gonna call it out on the carpet. I'm gonna lay it out here. if anybody comes to me and is like, Angel, I really would love to start over and do this. I really want to try this, but I don't know where to start. I'm gonna look at you like you're crazy. First thing, the first thing I'm gonna ask you is, you got a cell phone? The first question, if you come to me and say, I really want to start over doing something, but I don't know where to start, I'm going to ask you, do you have a cell phone? Do you have a smartphone or do you have a dumb phone? Because it matters. You got a smartphone, you got a dumb phone. Nowadays, everybody got a smartphone. Okay. So if you got a smartphone and your smartphone, most people, listen, I know people who ain't got no money, but they got internet and can't call nobody. They gotta call you through the messenger or something because it work on the internet. Poor people nowadays can use the internet before they can make a phone call. Because if you don't pay that service, you can't make no calls. But baby, if you go to the library and you tap into that free Wi-Fi, your phone gonna work. I'm just saying. I don't know where to start is a lie that we tell ourselves to stay stuck. Because if you got absolutely, Danny says, Google my best friend and YT, absolutely. If you can get to the internet and you can type in, let's say, I'm just gonna take something really light and easy. Like if you decide, like I did, I want to start my logs. You know how I did this? I didn't know. It's like I don't know what to do. You know what? I went on YT and I typed in, how do I start locks as a beginner? Baby, you're gonna have so many videos that come up. It's so many people who already they've done the hard work and figuring that thing out for you. Thank you so much, Danny, for sharing this live. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. All you got to do is type it in the search engine. All you got to do is go to the YT. That's all you got to do. How do I start? I like uh, uh, dreadlocks for dummies. Like I'm telling you, it's some stuff that's gonna come up. Anything you want to do. How do I write a book? Now, there was a time when you could say, when you could genuinely say, I don't know how to do something. I don't know where to start. That is no longer an excuse. Type it in. Type it in. How do I start writing a book? I have no clue as to where to start. You're going to get so much information. You're going to be inundated with information. Danny says, I got to create some content. Thank you so much for your daily heart me. I appreciate you. I got to create some. Yes, get that content created. Nowadays with ChatGPT, with Google search, with YT search engine, listen, there is no reason for anybody to be sitting in a place talking about, I can't start over because I don't know where to start. No, if you're not starting over, it's because you don't want to. It's because you're afraid to. It's because you're lazy and don't want to do the work. I said what I said and I'm not going to take it back. Dare I say, some people have gotten so complacent because you've been on the same job for 25 years. You've been doing the same stuff for 30 years. You've been talking to the same people for the last 10 years. You're so complacent in what you're doing until when you're like, I want to start something new. It's not that you don't know where to start. It's that it's going to take some work and you don't want to do the work. I know y'all run away when I start talking like that. You're like, that ain't me. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So many of us suffer from one of the 7 deadly sins, and that is slothfulness. Slothfulness is simply being lazy, not wanting to put your hand to the plow and get the work done. So many people don't want to read. The information is there, but you don't want to read it. Your attention span ain't but 15 seconds. So if the YT video is an hour long, you can't seem to sit through it. You're just lazy. You don't want to put in the work. Starting over is not going to be easy, but it is going to be rewarding if it is something that you need to do, something the Lord is leading you to do, something that you absolutely have to do. Some of you are getting ready to be put in positions with your careers. It's not going to be that you want to start over. It's going to be that you have to start over. And laziness is not going to serve you well in this start over game. You understand? Janice says, my mother moved at 84 from St. Louis to Decatur. She said, I'm just like her. Listen, 84 years, amazing. She moved from St. Louis to Decatur at 84. There's some of you who just 40 years old and you won't move across the street. Oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how to do it. I don't know how I'm going to get my things moved. I don't know how to get a company. Am I going to need this? Come on. Janice says, you are right. You're right about that. And it took a major shift to realize it, but it never stopped me. I was stuck, but you coached me to move with my potential. Absolutely. If you can think to do it, if you have a desire in your heart to do it, you can absolutely do it. You can absolutely do it. And listen, I'm not somebody that's rah, trying to motivate you to know. I'm telling you what I know to be true. When I was a when I told you all, I started out school teaching and teaching. I was teaching in Georgia in a public school as a high school teacher. In 2010, I had a big life situation to take place. I was going into a divorce. I had 4 children. I've been a school teacher, was married, all the things. The divorce was coming, and I was in this place, and I was like, something's got to change. I need something got to change. Y'all, I resigned from my job as a school teacher at 9 years. You have to understand the significance of that, because at 10 years, you become vested in the teacher retirement for Georgia. I had 9 years. But if I would have stayed one more year, I would have been invested. But I knew in my soul at that moment, I knew this is what I need to do. This is what I have to do. I knew I was getting ready to do something major. I knew other people were like, what are you doing, girl? Like, what? You 30 plus years old, you got 4 kids, you're going into this situation, like, this doesn't make sense. Everybody has something to say. Everybody has something to say about the fact that I was choosing to resign from that job at 9 years instead of 10. However, the opportunity that presented to me was to go overseas and train teachers. In my county, it was like pulling teeth to get any kind of promotion. You understand? Hold on a second. So in my county, they were making it so difficult for me to have some upward mobility out of the classroom and things. So here I am. I have this beautiful opportunity to leave the United States of America and go to the United Arab Emirates, and not just to teach, but to train other teachers to improve their pedagogy and English. I had this major opportunity, and it was sitting in my lap at my 9 year, and not the 10 year, but at my 9 year. Here I am starting over, something fresh on a whole other continent. But I did it. I had never traveled abroad before. I had to get a passport, y'all. I didn't even have a passport. I had to get a passport. I was 30. I think I was 33 years old at the time. I didn't have a passport. I had to get a passport. I never traveled abroad. I never done any of these things, but I did it. And let me say this to you. What I know to be the truth today is that my willingness, my obedience to do that at that time in my life broke something off of my own bloodline, and my own children are now so unafraid to start, to do, to go. My oldest son literally just came back from France and Japan. He has a career that sends him to other countries to work. He goes for a day or 2 days or 4 days, whatever. They send him, he goes and does what he does. He comes back. He's not afraid to go. He's not afraid to move. He's getting ready to up and relocate to somewhere else. They're not afraid. I have two children who are soldiers. One is in Texas, one is in Germany. They're not afraid. They go out, they chase all the dreams. They do all the things. I have one that's in college. They do all the things. And I know it stems from my willingness at a season in my life to break the fear of going, of doing, of starting fresh, of doing the things that the Lord placed in my heart to do. So did people have things to say? Yes. Did I feel like, girl, you 33 years old, you get ready? Yes, but I did it. At 41 years old, I said, I'm going to follow the Lord. I sold everything that I had, got rid of everything, stepped out with absolutely nothing, and said, I'm going to do what you want me to do, Lord. And here I am, 6.5, going on 7 years later, sitting in front of you all, talking to, listen, I'm not unalived. Y'all are looking at me, right? I ain't missing no meals. Look at these cheeks. They good and full. Y'all be like, you're glowing, Angel. Listen, because I'm thriving. Why? Because I have the courage to start over when it is necessary. And I'm not talking about running, because we're going to talk about running too. This isn't running. This is knowing when to start over, and when you're put in a situation where you have to start over, having the courage to do it. Having the courage to do it. Yes, God will place you where you need to be and where He needs you to be. Absolutely. 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 Okay. So I don't know where to start. You don't have to have it all figured out to begin. You just have to take the first step. That's it. And I promise you, when you take the first step, the path itself will reveal to you what the next step is. You just need to take some immediate action. Immediate action. Let me tell you, immediate action looks like making a decision to do the thing. You Even if you just write down a note in your phone, today I'm going to do XYZ. That is taking some action. If getting on a search engine and beginning your search, that is taking immediate action, right? Just do something. And I promise you, as you step out on the path, when you just do something, if you don't know if it's the right first thing or the wrong first thing, but if you do something that leads you towards what it is, the path itself is going to reveal what your next step needs to be. I promise you, the path will reveal itself to you. You ain't gonna have to look for it. It'll just start revealing itself. Things will just start opening up. You'll be like, oh, I didn't even know that. Oh, I didn't. You'll start meeting people, hearing people. You'll start watching people. Then people just show up in your situation. Like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know that. Oh my gosh. Oh, I didn't. Oh, but you've got to have the courage to take the first step, and you've got to have the desire and the willingness to work. It's not going to come easy. You're going to have to work for it. Tell me in the comments, tell me one excuse that you have been holding on to that has been holding you hostage. Tell me. Put it in the chat. Hello, Haitha. How you doing? Thank you for joining us. Put in the chat. I want to know, what is one excuse that has held you back from starting over? Put it in the comments. Let's see it, because we're gonna get rid of it today. You're not gonna get to keep it. You're gonna put it in the comments, and we're gonna debunk it, and we're gonna move on. You're not holding on to that. Absolutely not. Hyper says finances. Ooh. Ah. Sit. Let me tell you, I'm about to hold on a second. I'm gonna pin that. I'm gonna pin that, because that is real and that is honest. That is real and that is honest. Hold on, I'm gonna put you right up top. Hyper says financial. Financial. I asked, right, what is something that is stopping you? Right? What is stopping you? And she said, finances. So let me say this to you. That is real. That is real. But money has never stopped any major successful person from doing anything. I want you to think about somebody like Tyler Perry. It's all about what you're willing to go through to get to where you're going. When I read Dave Ramsey's Total Money Makeover, and something that stuck with me, his motto is that you've got to be willing to live like no one else in order to live like no one else. Finances is really not the fundamental issue. It is what are you willing to, what kind of struggle are you willing to go through and persevere through, because the money has not come to you just yet until it gets to you. Most of us, because we don't have the money in the bank, we don't want to, like, it's hard to say it, but there's some suffering that takes place. There's suffering that's going to take place. If you don't have the money, then guess what? That means that you're going to have to peel back the layers on some things. You're going to have to show up in spaces when nobody else is there. You're going to have to be there. You're going to have to take on more hours at work. When other people like, child, I ain't going in, you're going to have to be like, can I get them hours? When everybody else is like, hair done, nails done, everything done, or did, or whatever, you're going to have to be like, nope, I'm doing my own hair. I'm not getting no nails done. I'm not buying no pocketbooks. You know what? Ramen noodles, I know they say they're not healthy for you, but you know what? That's what I'm eating right now until I can get, I'm going to pray that the Lord will bless my body and keep me safe. I'm going to get up. I'm going to exercise. I'm going to drink water. I'm going to do what I need to do, because all I can eat is these ramen noodles right now. So to counteract the sodium I'm going to take in, I'm going to make sure I drink a whole lot of free water, and I'm going to do a whole lot of walking outside because it's free. Why? Because I don't have the money to do all these other things, because I know that I need to start over. And if starting over means I need to get myself in a new apartment, but I don't have the money, guess what? That means that you're going to have to go pick up some odd jobs. You might not sleep as much as you're used to because you're having to work 2 or 3 jobs. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to be as cute as you think you want to be, because you're not going to be able to get your hair done. You're not going to be able to get your nails done. You're not going to get no new outfits for a while. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to be able to go eat out all this self-care day. We need self-care. Listen, sometimes you're going to have to put certain things on the back burner in order to get what you need. I know y'all are like, Angel, but it's just the truth. It's just the truth. Sometimes it's not that you don't have the money, it's that we don't know what to do with the money when we get it. Some of us really need to be honest with ourselves and own the fact that we just don't know how to budget. We don't have a budget. We don't even know where, we don't even know where to start with a budget. We don't know what it means to tell ourselves no. So if your budget says that all you got is $10 this month for entertainment, guess what that means? The movie theaters cost you $11. Guess what? You only got 10, so you can't go to the movies. You can't go to the movies. If your entertainment budget for this month is only $10, baby, you got to find something within $10. If that means that you can get a $9.99 Netflix account, that's under $10. So that means Netflix is your entertainment, baby, for this month. You know what I'm saying? If your budget say that this month you ain't got no money allocated for clothing or new clothes, or if your budget, if you say every month I got $5 for, if all you ain't been able to save, that's only been 2 months you've been budgeting, you only got $10. Listen, you don't need no new clothes this month. Let that build up. These are practical things. I know, and the reason I can say these things to you is because when I started Speak Up Sis, I had $0. I did not have any money in the bank. I sold everything that I had. I got rid of the house. I resigned from my job. I came back home. I did all the things. Let me tell you, there's a woman. I'm a sidebar there because when I said that, it hit a nerve. There have been a few women that I have talked to on this journey of mine who had the opportunity to go home. When I say go home, I mean they had, and I know this is not an opportunity that everybody has, but these couple women, a few women that I talked to, they did have this as an option. And don't you know, because they were like, what are people gonna think? People gonna think that they failed, people gonna think they can't take care of themselves, people gonna think what all these things, right? They will not go home. Not only that, pride. I'm such and such years old. Like, I can't go home. Let me tell y'all something. At 41 years old, after being a whole jet setter, just let me say that. I told y'all I have worked in other countries. I have worked in Paris. I've worked in the United Arab Emirates. I've worked in Abu Dhabi among the people. I didn't work for the government. I worked in, listen, I made good money. You understand? I had vacation at the Palm Jumeirah, Dubai. You understand? I vacation in the Club Med. Y'all don't even understand what I mean when I say that. There's a whole other level of vacationing that rich people do. Like, we go to vacation, it's a different kind of vacationing than rich people do. I made the kind of money where I was like, I want to have the experience of what rich people vacation. So I was like, I'm gonna go to because Atlantis, there's the only Atlantis is in Bahamas, and then they have one in Dubai, and I think there may be one other Atlantis hotel. So here I am. I'm in the UAE. I'm in Abu Dhabi. I'm a 2-hour drive from Dubai. So I'm like, I'm gonna take me a weekend. I'm a vacation. I want to see how rich people do it, right? So I decided I was going to go to the Palm Jumeirah, Dubai, the Atlantis Hotel in Dubai, and I was not gonna go just like an everyday person. I was like, no, we're not doing. I don't care how much it costs. I want to be on the Club Med floor, whatever. I want to do this, I want that. So I went on. Listen, this is the kind of money I made, and I went. And let me tell y'all, I went into the place. It's already, if you've ever vacationed in Dubai, if you've ever been there, they just roll out the red carpet for everybody. But it's a different kind. Like, it ain't even a red carpet. It's like a crimson carpet, okay? That they roll out. And so I went to the front desk and I was like, you come in, they give you need to refresh yourself, got a little water, got all the little things. I went to the desk and I was like, I want to check in. When they said, okay, yes, madam, what's your name? When I told her my name, she said, hold up. Listen, I'm trying to set y'all up for something here. Listen to what I'm telling you. The lady says, oh, madam, right. Oh, come this way. Because you ain't got to stand in no line. They ain't no line. Listen, rich people ain't standing in no lines. You understand what I'm saying? They had a whole other section. There's a whole other section. She says, come this way. I'll take your bags. You ain't got to carry them. She gives the bags to the concierge, like, put her bag. She's like, they going to get to your room. There's a whole other section I go to. The lady leads me over to this big desk. This young lady sitting behind the desk. You want to sit down? You sit right here. You need something to drink, whatever. I got a personal check-in. I ain't standing no lines at the counter. I'm personally checking in. Listen, when she finished checking me in, there's a whole other set of elevators. I need y'all to hear what I'm telling you. There's a whole other set of elevators that the common people don't go to. You don't get to go to these elevators. They took me to a whole other place of elevators with security standing at the y'all need to hear me. This is the kind of life I was able to live. And then at 41 years old, at 40 years old, I hear the Spirit of the Lord saying, are you ready? Are you ready to walk on the water with me? Are you ready to do what it is that I have created you to do? And I said, yes. And to do that, I had to leave the life that I had. You understand? I vacation in places like Sri Lanka. Who vacations in Sri Lanka? Me. On a beach, walking down the beach like I'm some brown skinned queen. Thank you so much. You understand? Mexico and Canada and London, all the places. And then one day I say yes to the Lord, and just like that, I got no money. Because I ain't saved nothing. I was too busy enjoying myself because I figured this is what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life. So now I'm in this situation where I got to change. My life is changing. I got to start over in this new place, in a place that I don't know nothing about. I wasn't no church girl. I didn't grow up in the church, none of that. But now I got this new experience, this new God thing. And I don't even really understand what it is, but it is what it is. And I'm doing it. And here I am. And now I'm in this position, and all the plans that I had, they fell through. They didn't work out the way that I planned them. And I found myself in a place, and I heard, and I'm talking to my mother, and she says, "Why do you think you can't come home? Why do you think you can't come home?" And I was like, "Cause I'm." At the time when I had this experience with the Lord, I was 40. By the time I moved home, I was 41, and I was like, "Cause I'm 41 years old. I've taken care of myself my whole adult life. I've been working and taking care of myself. I have 4 kids. I've lived a whole life. Like, who goes home at 41? Who does that?" And as a melanated woman, we are told, like, it's like a failure for us to be like, we going home. It's like, what your big grown self going home for? It's seen as you failed in life. And what I want to say to you all today is that, and all of this is sparked because the young lady said finances is an issue that causes fear of starting over. And what I'm saying is, when you say yes to the Lord's start over for you, whatever He is leading you to start over and do, when you say yes to that, I promise you, the doors will open, the path will reveal itself that you need to be on, but it is going to require you to do some very difficult things. And it won't be difficult as in it wasn't hard for me to move home. What was difficult was dealing with what I felt about going home, dealing with the feeling of failure. What are people going to think about me? What do I think about myself? You're too old for this. All the lies that I've already shared with you all. These are all like, where do I even start? How do I even do anything? Like, all of this. And what I'm telling you is that money is not the issue. It is who you are and what you think about yourself and what you're going to be required to do. Thank you so much for the gifts. You may end up having to pick up a job that you didn't think, you may end up having to, get a job as a waitress, where some people, I don't want to be a waitress. I'm too good to be a waitress. I was the prom queen. I was a 6-figure earning, and now you want me to wait tables? Yeah, that's what we want you to do. Wait some tables. Hmm. There's a sister that I'm connected to right now. Her life is shifting. She's making some moves, and she ended up getting a job as a housekeeper at a hotel. Baby, I know some of y'all are listening to me like, oh, absolutely not. But if you say that finances is the issue, then, like, maybe you need to pick up a second job. Maybe you need to pick up something on the side. Or maybe you need to not maybe you need to live below your means for a little while, not just not live above your means, but maybe you need to live a little below your means so that you can actually see something to start saving to do something with. These are the hard conversations that we must have. Bobby says healthcare insurance is keeping me at my private investor. Let me tell you, Bobby, can I be real with you today? And I know I have gone past my 1 hour, but I really want to make sure that I help some of y'all today. We're going to talk about this all week. I want you all to have the courage to reinvent yourselves should that be something you need to do. Bobby, I don't know if you're still here or not. Let me know if you're still here, Bobby. If you're still here, I'm gonna talk to you. I ain't gonna talk to you if you ain't here, because you put that as a situation. But I'm gonna address it if you're still here. If you're not still here, then I'm gonna move on. Janice says, my self-care is watching a movie at home, taking a bubble bath with Epsom salt. That's my spa treatment. Absolutely. And that ain't gonna cost you a whole bunch of money, right? All right. I don't know. I don't think Bobby's still here, so I'm not going to address the healthcare insurance situation. If she here, I'll address it. Tamika says, don't want that drastic decrease in pay. That's another good one. She said, I don't want that drop in pay. Okay. Hey, that is something we have to deal with, right? But and LaShawn, I can talk to you directly because I know you directly, and I know that you are a believer. I know your faith. I know who you believe in. I know your source. I know all of that. And so I'm simply going to say to you to remember what's your source. And I want to say to you that it is far better to have the favor of the Lord than any amount of finances in this world. Because there are things that money can't get you, doors money can't even open. But the favor of God will open every door that needs to be open. So I get that. Bobby says, I'm here. Okay. So Bobby Goodwin, I want to share exactly. LaShawn says, yes, doors and peace of mind. And listen, ain't no amount of money that trumps peace of mind. I'm just gonna say that. Bobby, I want to share with you a bit of a personal testimony. Because you said that healthcare insurance is keeping you at your private healthcare insurance, keeping me at my private investor. So if you don't know, as a school teachers have some of the best insurance. I don't care what nobody says. If you work in public education, I'm not talking about like a private school or whatever, but if you work for the public school system in some city or state or whatever, you're going to be offered some really good insurance. I've always had good insurance. And like I said, I started teaching. I had my own classroom when I was 23. And then I went to work for the federal government. Great insurance there. When I worked overseas, the company I worked for paid for my insurance. I've always had insurance, always had good insurance, vision, dental, health insurance. Well, when I said yes to the Lord to step outside of traditional work and to follow him, then that means, of course, I don't have that insurance. And Cobra is super expensive. Y'all already know that. And I told you I didn't have the finances, so I definitely couldn't keep Cobra. So let me tell you, it's a hard thing, but I actually went and had to get state insurance. I went and I had to get in the state of Georgia, it's like Peach State or something like that. Medicaid. Listen to me. The jet setting, I found myself on Medicaid. My children were young at the time, so all of us, they had insurance because of their dad, but I needed insurance, so I ended up getting state insurance. Okay, well, about a year or so ago, I was removed from the state insurance and I had to go into the marketplace for insurance. And let me tell you, for about a year, I did not have insurance. I did not have insurance. I did not have insurance. Why am I sharing this? What I'm telling you is that we have to be very, 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 very careful and very sure when we walk up and talk about, when we say things like, God told me, God said, I know God wants. You have to be careful when you do that. I hear a lot of people saying what God said, yet they are not willing to go through anything. So my thing is, if God said it, if God said you're supposed to start over, if God said you're supposed to shift, if it is truly what God said, and you truly believe what you say you believe, then you know that He will provide, He will show you how to sustain whatever you say the issue is. So for me, I sat in a place for about a year that I did not have health insurance. And let me tell you how the Lord took care of that for me. And some of y'all are going to be like, Angel. But I want you to hear me, because I hear people saying a lot of stuff that just don't line up. And I'm not saying it's you. I'm speaking in general, just in conversations I've heard. But because you say health insurance is keeping you from doing what I believe is what the start over God wants you to have, I want you to hear a bona fide, true testimony. Angel Charmaine, the lady sitting in front of y'all, the lady who's built Speak Up Sis, the lady who puts on the award show, the lady that's writing the books, the lady that's traveling and doing all the things, the lady y'all see, the lady that's standing in front of you, the lady who has built an enterprise with the help and the favor of the Lord. I did not have health insurance. And even though my business was growing, I personally could not afford the marketplace. So let me tell you what happened. I was like, Lord, because at the time I had high blood pressure. I was on high blood pressure medication, and I was like, I need my meds. Got to the point where I had to pay for my own medicine and stuff like that. So I'm like, ooh. But you know what happened? The Lord led me to a community of people. And I learned how to eat. I learned how to exercise. I learned what I needed to learn to get off of the medicines that I needed health insurance for. I learned how to take care of myself in such a way that I'm a healthy 47-year-old woman who didn't need to be going to the doctor every 3 months or whatever. I know this sounds off, because I know you're probably sitting here waiting for me to tell you how I was able to get health insurance. But that's not what the Lord led. He led me to learn how to take care of myself so I wouldn't have to be going to the doctor all the time. I know that's hard, isn't it? I know it's a hard pill to swallow. I know it is. But I got connected to a community and I did the things. I dropped the weight. I learned how to eat better. I started taking care of myself. I started learning about, products, not to use on my body and all this other kind of stuff. If I can be real with you, even for our lady parts and stuff, you learn products that you shouldn't use down there to keep you from ending up with things like BV that's going to send you to the doctor. This is real talk. The Lord led me into spaces where you learn how to do and what to do and not to do, whatever, so that you can take care of yourself and not be required. So when I did, so like when I got the flu, I was able to just pay for the doctor bills for me to go to the urgent care, for them to tell me you got the flu, go home and stay home. Okay, great. You understand what I'm saying? And then, and then once that was taken care of, I was good, healthy, everything's great. I'm in a good place now. And then the Lord opened the door for me to be able to to find a program in the marketplace that's affordable that I can actually pay for. But during that season of, and people are like, oh, I can help you get healthcare. I can help you get healthcare. When you don't have, when you can't get blood from a turnip. Everybody wants some coins from somewhere. And I know what it feels like to be in a situation where you literally have absolutely no coins. You ain't got nothing to give to nobody for nothing. You got $10 to give to them on a consistent basis. You might have the $10, you might not have the $10. I know what it's like to be in that place. But guess what? I know who my provider is. I know who put me out here to do this work. I know. So what I did, I sat before the Lord and said, okay, you know what I need? Like, I don't have the money to be buying no blood pressure medication. This blood pressure is out of whack. And you know what the Lord said? You need to take care of yourself. I put some things in place for you to be able there are laws that I put in place. There are things that I put out there for you to be able to protect the temple that I've given you. You lazy, you need to get up and walk. You need to get up and exercise. You greedy. You eating whatever you want to eat. You don't need to eat these things. Like I know it is not the answer y'all want to hear, but what I'm trying to get you to understand is that there is always a way around whatever you think the excuse or the situation is that is keeping you, or what you think. Not only that, but once you get out there and start working and you got to make things happen, you'll be like, you know what? I got to have health care insurance because I got these situations that I can't take care of. So that means I need to make money. So that means I need to sell this. So that means I need to set goals for myself. That means if I need to make $1,000 this month, I need to make $1,000. That means, listen, it puts a fire under you to get it done. You get it done. I know this is hard. I know this is hard. You understand? I know it's a hard discussion. And Bobby, and I'm going to caveat this and say, I don't know what your specific situation is. And I pray that you don't leave this conversation feeling like I punched you in the throat, because that's not that's not it. What I wanted you to hear is that even with a major situation like I need healthcare insurance, it is possible to do what it is that the Lord is leading you to do. If in fact He is leading you to shift, change, start over, redo something, whatever, if it is indeed something He is leading you to do, then not having health care insurance will stop that. He will redirect you to what you need at the time to take care of whatever that health care situation is. Or He may lead someone into your life who has the resources or who understands or whatever to be able to help you find a plan. I was talking to a young lady and she was like, Angel, do you know there are lots of doctors? She said a lot of people don't realize that there are doctors that have sliding scales, and they don't advertise it, but they're there. And I used to work for this company, and so I know, and so I can help you with a list of places you can call or whatever. And and if you don't have it, because of the sliding scale, if you don't have it, they'll still see you. There are people who have this kind of information. We don't know it, but the information is there. It's out there. There's so many things. But here again, we have to deal with what people gonna think about me. What are people gonna think about me being 47 years old, not having health insurance? What are they gonna think about me? Who cares what they think about you? Do what you need to do to get what you need in order to continue being on the path that God has placed you on. I promise you, every obstacle that you can think of, there is a route around it, over it, or a way to just knock it over. There is a way, but it is going to require you to not be afraid to maybe deal with a little long suffering. It's going to require you to not be afraid of losing some things or having to release some things. It's going to require you to not be afraid of people and what they have to say or what they're going to think about you. It's just going to require you to level up in the spiritual realm and in your personal self. Now that's not a testimony. I just walk around telling people like, oh, I didn't have help. I mean, that's it's not like it's not something I'm proud of, but it is something that just was. And I share that with you because you say this is something that keeps me from moving forward. And I just want you to know that the woman that you're looking at, I currently have health insurance. I actually made appointments and everything to be able to go to the doctor just to get checkups to make sure that all the things I was doing is working. You know what I'm saying? So I can sit here in front of you and tell you that the woman that you all look up to, the woman that you all learn from, the woman that you're looking, you're like, oh, Angel, listen, I know what it is to be a base, and I know what it is to abound. I know what it is to have a whole lot, and I know what it is to have nothing. And guess what? There's a whole lot of knowing that I know in between. But I sit here on this camera today to tell you that it is so very possible for you to start over, to reinvent yourself, wherever you end up finding yourself, that the God of heaven who is leading you, he will provide. He will take care of you, but you are going to have to deal with you. This is not a God issue. This is a us issue. This is a us issue. I hope that this was helpful to you. I hope that you heard something that is going to encourage you. The last thing I want to say before I leave, and I'm way over my hour today. The last thing I want to share with you all today, because there are more things I want to talk about this week, so I don't want to push anything into another day because I have this already lined out. So I want to say to you all today to surround yourself with expanders. Get around people who are already living what you desire. You know, if you want to be an entrepreneur, stop hanging around people who don't believe in taking risks. If you say that you want to be an entrepreneur, but all your friends like, girl, you crazy. You need to keep that 9 to 5. I ain't nobody gonna be buying none of that stuff. Now that might be a good idea, but that little old business you talking about, like, you need to get around people who are expanders, people who have expanded thinking, they have expanded understanding. If you want to be an entrepreneur, you need to be around people who are risk takers. They take healthy, calculated risks, and some of them just take risks like they trust their guts enough to take the risk. You need to be around those kind of people. If you say that you want to write a book, you need to be around people who done wrote some books. You need to be around people who are actually, successful in their book journeys. Like whatever it is that you're trying to do, get around people who are in, like, get in those spaces. Stop being around people who ain't doing the things and don't care about the things and don't believe you can do the things. If you are saying, oh, money is an issue, stop hanging around people who always talking about money is an issue. Get around some people who say that money ain't an issue. That don't mean that they got a lot of money. They just don't see money as being an issue. You know, I can tell you I'm one of those people. If you are not connected to me, you should be connected to me. I don't feel no qualms about saying that. If you are not connected to Angel Charmaine Wright, the founder and CEO of Speak Up Sis LLC and the editor in chief of Speak Up Sis magazine, if you are not connected to me, If for whatever reason you listening to foolishness and you don't want to be in my space and you don't want to come to nothing, you don't want to do nothing, you're losing out. You're missing out. Because baby, I listen, I ain't just an expander. I'm an explorer. I'm an encourager. I'm an empower. I'm a make it happener. I'm a believer. I'm a disciplined student of the way. I'm a whole lot of things. I have helped people to do things that I have yet to do. You know why? Because I can believe enough for me and you and a whole other lot of people. Even if I haven't done the thing, I have helped people to do things that I haven't done. You know why? Because I can believe they can do it. I don't. It's not that I have had to do the thing. It's that I believe that you can do it. You want to be around people who've done it, and you want to be around people who believe that you can do it. There's a difference. There are people who have done what you're trying to do who don't believe that you can do it. There are people who've written books that don't believe that you can write a book as good as theirs. Just because a person has made $1 million, don't believe they think that you can make $1 million. There's a difference. You want to surround yourself with people who are expanders. So today, the last thing I'm gonna have you drop in the comments. I want you to put in the comments what's one thing that you're committed to doing today to step into this new chapter. Tell me, give me something. It can be something small, it can be something big, whatever. Something, it can be something small, something big, but put in the comments what is something that you are going to do today. Today is going to help you to step into this new chapter, this new place. And I appreciate all of you who have joined me today, whether you're on TT or FB or YT or LinkedIn or FB, right? all these letters. I appreciate you all for joining me today. I pray that it has been helpful. I pray that you have heard something today that is going to propel you forward, that is going to help you to break the fear of starting over or starting something new. Y'all know my motto. I even have a t-shirt. If you go to speakupsis.com and go into the shop, you're going to see the t-shirt. It says, do it afraid until you can do it brave. I may put that shirt on tomorrow. I think I'm going to put that shirt on tomorrow. Do it afraid until you can do it brave. But just break the fear. Harold Bairstow says, walking by faith and not by sight. Yes, we all need to do that. I want to know what is one tangible thing, one practical thing, one thing that is measurable, one thing that when you wake up tomorrow, you can say, I did that. You can see that you did that. I want you to put one tangible, practical, real life thing that you are going to do today that is going to help usher you into this new place that you believe that you're walking into. Janice says she's not going to procrastinate. So Janice, I'm going to ask you, and you don't have to put it in, you don't have to put the specifics in the chat. So when we say that, when you say I'm not going to procrastinate, right? All right. So I understand that. But you know, that is really a heady thing. I like to say it's cerebral. It's something like you tell yourself, I'm not going to procrastinate. And then, so, but what I would like for you to think about, you can put it in the chat if you want, you don't have to, but I want you to think about it. I want you to take the cerebral thing, take the thought, take the idea that I'm not going to procrastinate. I want you to turn that into an actual step, an actual thing, an actual practical thing that I can see, that anybody else can see, that proves, that measures, right? that you did not procrastinate. For example, identify something that you absolutely need to be doing or should have done that is, that is going to bring about some type of change in your life that you just haven't done. Like, identify one thing, and then I want you to decide one actual thing that you're going to do, because then you'll be able to say tomorrow, I did not procrastinate with uh I did not put on the back burner about starting my budget. Yesterday, I found a budget tracking template and downloaded it to my computer. That's what I mean. So the thought behind that is, I'm not going to procrastinate. I'm not going to keep putting it off to start my budget, right? So that's the heady thing. That's the cerebral thing. But what I'm asking you all to do is to decide on an actual step that you're going to take today. And so the actual step of not procrastinating about a budget is to actually find a budget tracking app or device or something, right? And download it. Like, that's a step. That means you are actually taking the first step to not procrastinating about budgeting. Do you understand the example? Janice says, I'm prepping for my taxes, printing documents that I need for my preparer. Excellent. Absolutely excellent. And so tomorrow, when you get up tomorrow, you will be able to determine whether or not you procrastinated or not. Because if you actually got your folder or whatever of documents, you can say, okay, I started. And then tomorrow, if you didn't finish it today, all right, by the end of today, I'm going to have like all of the documents for this. I'm going to have it, whatever those steps are. You keep doing that until you reach whatever that goal is, whatever that next thing is. And I promise you, the more you do that, you'll see yourself not procrastinating in more and more areas. You'll have less procrastination in more and more areas of your life just by making that one step. That's a good one. Thank you for sharing. Okay, Bobby says, make a couple of calls to Price Independent Healthcare. There you go. Absolutely. So then tomorrow you'll be able to say, you'll be able to say whether or not you did it or not, because you will have taken some notes. You will have found out some different things, gotten some prices, actually talked to some, right? So then you can begin to see. So before, where you said my healthcare option is keeping me stagnant. Well, once you start talking to some people, you're gonna the Lord will begin to reveal to you, like, you have options. You absolutely have options. They may be very different options than what you had before, but you have them, right? Very good. That is a good one, Bobby. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. LaShawn says, getting on camera, record a message and post. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, yes, yes. I love it. Get on camera and record a message and post. Those of you who know that you got to get on this camera and start talking, like, you got books that don't nobody know about because you don't talk about them. You got businesses that don't nobody know about because you don't talk about them. You got platforms that don't nobody know about because you don't talk about it, right? So LaShawn says she's going to get on camera, record a message, and post. And I'm going to say, oh, let me shout out Jaletta right now. Shout out to Jaletta, because Jaletta took me up on my suggestion to her. And last night, she waited till late. Now it was like 9 o'clock my time, but she was on Instagram, and she went live and she talked about her book. I was really proud of her because she did it. She did it. So LaShawn, I'm gonna say the same thing too, because I told her, tag me when you do it. So LaShawn, I'm gonna say, tag me. When you get ready, when you record it, you upload it, I want you to tag me in it so that I can watch it and I can be some accountability for you that you actually did what you said you was going to do. All right. And LaShawn says the hospital can help with insurance. So, Bobby, it looks like LaShawn is saying, maybe reach out maybe to your local hospital or whatever and talk to them. Maybe they have someone who can help you build out different insurance plans. Okay. All right. And I am done, y'all, for the day. Thank you so much for being one of my subscribers. LaShawn on TT. She said in Billings. She said the Billings department in the hospital, they can help you with insurance. So that may be an option for you to reach out to, Bobby, and see what they say. Those of you who are on FB, who are subscribers, thank you so much. Sending lots of love to you as well. I appreciate you all. I will be putting some information in my subscriber only space on FB for you all to access. So make sure that you're looking out for your hashtag FAF only hashtags. That's how you can make sure that you're seeing all of the content that I'm putting in the subscriber only section. And all right, everybody, I've been on for an hour and 50 minutes. It's only supposed to be an hour, but I love when you all talk to me, when you have questions, when you're then I'm going to try and help and serve as much as I can. So I'll be back tomorrow. And tomorrow we're going to continue talking about finding the courage to start over. And we're going to move into some different conversations. So I'll see you all back here tomorrow, 11-ish a.m. Eastern Standard Time, between 11 and 11:15 a.m. I will be here. Y'all take care. And I will see you tomorrow.